Hello, I'm Leitris Rabinski. Today we are interviewing Bertha Lautman, a Holocaust survivor. The project is sponsored by the National Council of Jewish Women, Cleveland section. Bertha, we're anxious to learn about what you are doing now, something about your family, and something about your plans for the immediate future. Would you share that with us, please?
Sure. Well, right now, my husband and I are enjoying.
Your family?
Yeah.
I know this is an emotional time for you to think about that.
Our children are grown now, and it's been wonderful. It's been great. We have 3 grown children. Our youngest is in medical school. Our daughter is married to a doctor, lives here in Cleveland with 3 small children. Our older son is married, lives in New Jersey with 2 children, and Jeffrey is at Ohio State Medical School. It's a great time for the 2 of us, enjoying our little ones, and having peace at home with no children running around all the time. So it's really great.
Would you like to tell us about what you are doing, your work, your husband's work?
Yeah. My husband has a furniture business. Started out from the very beginning when he came to the States. And I work at Montefiore Home. I'm director of arts and crafts. I've been there for 15 years.
What type of home is that?
Nursing home, old-age nursing home. We do a lot of work with the residents, and I have enjoyed every minute of it. My work there too. I started out to work when my youngest child started kindergarten. I was one of those mothers that looked around for the child and didn't want to clean and cook and bake, so I started to look for a job. And I found a job at Montefiore Home, and I've been there ever since.
Would you like to describe some of the things you do there with the residents?
We do a lot with our residents. They come to the craft room as if, I'm going to work. We do all kind of craft things. We work with tiles, sewing machines. We have professional dressmakers from younger years, still doing quite well. We take them to shows. We take them for lunches. We make life pleasant for them. At least, I think we do. We try. And it's the best place at Montefiore Home if you come to arts and crafts.
Mm-hmm. So making life pleasant is really important part of your life now. Bertha,
very important.
Would you like to share with us some of your plans of things that you're going to be doing with your family in the next few weeks?
My immediate plans, like 3 weeks from now, I probably will be in Israel. We hope to leave February 10th, my sister and I and my husband. We have our oldest brother in Israel. He is paying for my sister and myself round-trip ticket to come to Israel to visit him for his special birthday and the celebration of our 40th year after the Holocaust. It's going to be 40 years that the 3 of us got together in Czechoslovakia. And we really are looking forward to this. It's a happy occasion. Happy, but also sad.
Are you going to have other members of your family there with you?
Not our family, not our children, but we're going to have there my brother's daughter, my brother's son. We have cousins that I haven't seen in a long time, and it's going to be a big party, I think in a hotel. We're all going to get together. So it's going to be a big celebration, a big doing.
So Bertha, in effect, is going to be like a celebration of life.
Celebration of life is right, because whoever thought of life 40, since 42, when I was taken, let's say. Nobody
Yes.
thought of life.
What do you think are going to be some of the things that you will do when you get together? Do you think they'll be reminiscing or singing, or share what you think you're going to be doing?
You know, I've spent time in Israel. This isn't my first trip with my brother. We always do, especially on Shabbat,
The Sabbath.
the Sabbath. My brother like sings the same tunes that our father did. And he always say, Betushka, remember? And there's a lot of reminiscing because, you know, we talk about all the children, the rest of the children, the rest of the siblings that we lost. And he being the oldest, and he not only the oldest, but he being the one that took over when we got together after the Holocaust. So he is the one that tells us things about the family that my sister and I probably never heard at home. He keeps us informed all along, the families that we lost, the families that we have, the cousins. He's the head of the family.
So I'm sure you're looking forward to that.
Oh
with
yeah,
great
it's
pleasure.
very exciting, very exciting. And I feel fortunate that I have the schus, that I have the pleasure, that I have lived to it, and I feel honored that, oh, my husband is paying for it. Now that's...
Your brother.
Yeah, my husband, my brother.
Right. Bertha, now that you're telling us about your brother, perhaps you'll share with us some of your childhood memories of what took place. Where were you born?
I was born in Czechoslovakia.
Tell us about your family, what your maiden name was.
My maiden name was Berkovitz in Slovak. I could recall from my childhood, if I think back, as far as 3 years old when I almost drowned. That I remember. I remember the man that pulled me from the water. I remember the crib that my mother put me in. I remember the cake that I ate. I have the taste in my mouth. That's my first recollection of childhood. The next recollection that I have is my first day of school. Walking. We lived in Vyšná Pisana, and the school was in Nižná Pisana. It's about 2 kilometers, I think. And I had to walk, and I remember the first day of school.
What was it like?
It's cute. Cute. I remember mother walking me to school, holding on, coming back, exciting and talking about it. How was your day? The usual question. The next recollection that I have is going in the higher grades. I was a very good student. Another thing that I remember being a spoiled brat, that I remember too. Being, I was the 4th girl, and I was spoiled from my father especially.
How did he spoil you?
Oh, it was always Brandele, my Yiddish name. I was always hugged. I was always kissed. Somehow more so than mother.
Your father more?
Yeah. I guess it must have been a real father-daughter relationship. I don't know. My father had malaria from the First World War, and when he got an attack, so he always would call me, I should warm him up. And I would lay with my father. I remember this. When Friday afternoon came to get ready for the Sabbath, it was beautiful, a beautiful sight. we were not rich people, because with 7 children, let's face it, but it was very balabatish, very proud of everything that we had there. The table was set, the home-baked challah.
This is Sabbath bread.
That's right, the Sabbath bread. The Friday night meal, I remember.
What was it like?
Beautiful, beautiful. Fish that somebody that worked there caught small, very small fish, nothing like fish here, believe me. But they were made, cooked beautiful, sweet. My mother cooked them sweet. The chicken soup, not as much chicken as people eat here. And I do not remember a dessert. I can't recall that at all.
Did your mother bake?
My mother baked. I remember the flammplessel on Friday morning. It's like pizza bread with cheese on it. And buchti, it's kuchen dough. I remember kuchen. Kakao.
Like coffee cake
Coffee
that
cake.
rises, right?
Yeah. I don't remember torts though. I can't recall. Only on the last day of Passover, a small sponge cake. That's all. Otherwise, I don't recall torts at all.
Mm-hmm.
But of course.
What did your father do on the Sabbath at the table?
Besides Zmirot,
Singing?
the singing of the prayers, and at the benching, at the
blessing
afterwards, he was falling asleep at the table. Then he took a nap, and after he got up, well, he had to learn, was it Chumash? He learned
the Bible.
The Bible. Then you say the Perik or Borchen Nafshi. Most of the Sabbath afternoon was spent with the Hebrew books. And
Did you participate also?
Yeah, we had to do it with this we did with Mother. We sat with Mother and we had to read the Hebrew books also.
What kind of stories were they?
Stories from the 5 books of Moses. I wish I could remember them all now, but I had to do them all every Saturday afternoon. The recollection of that is vague. I don't really remember. But I know that we were sitting with Mother. I mean, it was a must. That was the thing to do on Saturday afternoon.
So you were a deeply religious family?
Very religious. My background is very religious. My father was a Hasid, close-knit, warm, as I say, not rich, but very proud, and very proud of the 7 children. The children were everything. And I might say 7 beautiful children.
Could you describe the range? How old was the youngest and how old was the oldest?
The years, I have a terrible memory of years. I don't know. See, I don't remember much my oldest brother at home anyhow. And I don't remember much of my second oldest brother. Then I do remember Lily. I don't know the years of being born. I don't remember that at all. But there was Lily, a beautiful tall girl, then Magda, Fanny, my sister that I have here now, and myself and Hershey. That's the
youngest brother?
Yeah. The most beautiful. I think he was the most beautiful. But we were all 7 beautiful, healthy children. Grew up in a very close, very warm, in a very proud family.
Do you remember any of the other holiday celebrations at your home?
I recall one Seder on Passover, but somehow one only, where all 7 children were at the table. I remember the beginning of the Seder, and I remember the meal. And after that, think Mother said for the little ones, it's time to go to bed. And our father stayed up with the two oldest boys, because they were in yeshivot, in Hebrew schools. So the boys stayed up with our father to finish up the Seder, and the little ones went to sleep.
Was there anything?
Nice memories of it.
Was there anything special about preparations for the Passover holiday that you recall, either in your family or the area?
Yeah, preparation for the Passover holidays was not easy. It wasn't as easy. I complained here about getting ready for Passover, such a big ordeal. Well, at home it was much worse.
What was it that you had to do? The cleaning. Why was the house cleaned so carefully?
The house had to be cleaned because of not having nowhere bread, because you're not allowed. And it was very carefully done, very carefully. And don't forget that more children, and we didn't have as big houses as here. So it wasn't really easy for Mother. So everything had to be done like a couple of days before. Not here, you could start out to do closets a month ahead of time. And
You actually did closets? Cleaning?
Sure. I had to help. We all had to help. Mother couldn't do it herself.
Did you turn the house topsy-turvy?
Oh my God, yes,
what
of course.
What did you do?
The beds, for most of the time, and the floors. I was very good in floors washing. I still am. Another thing that we had to do ourselves is bake the matzah. It wasn't like here that you go and you buy 10 pounds, 15 pounds of matzahs and you have it. At home, we had to do it ourselves. This is a picture that was taken, I don't remember how many years ago. I'm in it, my mother is in it. A few families got together, and a special day was selected. This is the Sunday that we're going to bake matzahs for each family.
It's the unleavened bread.
The unleavened bread, that's right. And I have my second oldest brother there. He was the one that made the dough. My mother is there. I would roll out matzahs, believe it or not, as a little girl on a stool, because I wasn't tall enough to reach the board. I was rolling. The thing about matzahs, it has to go fast. I think it's allowed 18 minutes.
Of baking times?
Yeah.
Where did you bake this?
In the oven. The oven was kashed, cleaned. We had the old-fashioned ovens. I don't know how to describe them, and I don't know if you know.
The clay oven?
Yeah.
Was it indoor or out?
Indoor. And boy, did Mother bake beautiful, delicious bread out of that oven.
That was before Passover.
Yeah, sure. But the matzahs were baked in that oven, and it went fast. That was a whole day for 4 or 5 families that had enough matzahs for the whole week.
It looks like they're all together there. Most of the women, the older women, seem to have their heads covered. Would you explain why?
Well, the heads are covered because of religion. Being that most of the women were very religious, and when you get married, you cover your head. Mm-hmm. My mother's hair was completely shaven.
Her own hair was shaven?
Her own hair was all shaven. These are my parents, my father and my mother. As you could see, my father, very religious, a pious Jew. Mother, her own hair is shaved completely, and she wears a wig. Beautiful person, beautiful people, both of them.
How did you happen to have pictures, since all of you suffered during the Holocaust? How were these pictures saved?
When we went back after the Holocaust, and we went back home, we had no birth certificates, we had nothing. Everything was destroyed there. One of the guys from Vyšná Písana had these pictures, and he told me that before our parents left, before they were taken to Poland, they left these pictures and asked the guy if anybody survives, if any of the children come back, please give them the pictures. And this is how we have these small pictures, and I had them enlarged for my brother and for my sister. We have a family picture that was saved for us, and a few more. But that was our parents' idea, as if they knew that they'll never come back, and if anybody does survive, that we should at least have a picture of them. It's amazing.
Bertha, what did your father do?
My father worked in a lumber yard.
Was he able to make a living for the family through that?
Yeah. I say that we were not rich, but we were not. You would probably not consider us poor people. You know, we had a nice home. I don't remember ever being hungry. We were dressed well, considering, under the circumstances. So we probably did make a living. Then when my sister, I remember my oldest sister became a dressmaker, so she probably helped along. But the boys were still in yeshivot, in schools. That was a very important thing for my father. The boys had to go to yeshivot, to the Hebrew schools, and to learn. So Lily was the one that helped along. I don't remember then about Magda.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was...
Can you tell us something about your school? Do you recall the type of subjects you learned? And did you have religious education as well?
My religious education was, we had a teacher at home. That was a must. If you had 4 girls like we were, you had a Hebrew teacher at home. He lived with us, and the girls, we were not as educated in Hebrew as, let's say, my children are. For us, it was very important to know the prayers, to know how to read in Hebrew, and the daily. And I was very good at it. I still am. I was taught everything by heart, and it came in very handy when I got to Auschwitz, till I got a prayer book. I always said it by heart. So that was my Hebrew education. I don't remember for how many years we had that teacher. My secular education, I had 5 years of elementary in Nizhna Pisana, which was in Russian. And in the afternoon, I took Slovak and German.
That's why you're so fluent in so many languages.
Yeah, and Polish I learned the same way as I learned Slovak or Yiddish, for instance, because we had Polish people that worked in the lumber yard, so I learned from them. So I started out with quite a few languages right there and then.
And where did you learn your Hungarian?
Oh, my Hungarian I picked up in 1944 when the Hungarian people came to Auschwitz. And whatever I know, I picked it up in Auschwitz.
So you're fluent in about 7 languages.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Yeah. Then after my 5 years elementary, I went to Svidnik, to Bürgerschule, Meszczanka. That's better than I don't know what you would call it here, high school or junior high maybe. There was Slovak, and I took Russian and German in the afternoon. So I had about 4 years of German, more than 4 years of German, and Russian. But Russian wasn't the same Russian as you hear, nowadays. It was Maloruski. It's a different dialect. I have a little bit of a problem with Russian. When I went back, I couldn't really do it as well as I did with other languages, but I'm still all right.
Bertha, do you remember any of the games or entertainments of your childhood?
Games. One game that really stands out in my mind is dominoes. We played dominoes all the time. And in the summertime, hopscotch. Believe it or not, that was a good game. Other than that, somehow I don't recall toys. I don't recall dolls. but I don't recall being a bored childhood neither. So I don't know what we did for the rest of the time. Probably played dominoes, you know. I still do. I still like dominoes. It brings back memories. And we talk about it. If I talk with my sister, so, hey, what did we do at home? What did we play? So dominoes. What else?
Did you have many friends during your childhood, or were you content to be with family most of the time?
No.
How did you spend your leisure time?
I had friends. We were always involved but where we lived a little bit out from the little town, so we had to make dates and get together. So it wasn't as easy as here, you know, you go on the phone and call your friend and get together. It wasn't that easy. But we had friends from school that we kept all along, all through the years in Nižna Pisana. And then in Svidnik, it was, you know, with the friends from Svidnik, I went to Auschwitz. Because in Svidnik, I lived there a whole week, and I went home only for Shabbat, for Sabbath. For the weekend, we went home. And that's another good feeling that I have about coming home for the Sabbath on Friday afternoon. And, it was such a big thing, because I came home from school. It was a pleasant memory, very pleasant.
How did you travel back and forth to this little school
town? We walked a lot.
You were?
We walked a lot, of course. And if not from Svidnik, well, from Kapishova, there were kids from Kapishova that went to school with me in Svidnik. And the father was the director of the lumber yard in Kapishova, okay? And his son was like a boyfriend to me. And so he would send a horse and wagon to bring his son home for the weekend. So I came along to Kapishova. From Kapishova to Pisana, to my home, you know, they delivered the wood from Pisana to Kapishova on wagons. I have a picture of that too, but I didn't bring it along. I don't know how to describe it otherwise. So the wagons would be brought from Kapishova to Pisana, and I would come home on these wagons. It wasn't the most comfortable transportation, but hey, it brought me home. And as I say, it was beautiful to come home for the weekend. Beautiful. And Sunday morning, we went back. So my mother, you know, the food was very important, okay? The children, it was Magda and me, the two of us. Sauerkraut. To this day, I love sauerkraut and mashed potatoes. Can't eat them here. Her special dish for us before we went back to school, to make a sauerkraut with mashed potatoes and pack the bundles and go back to school. In Svidnik, the school was very pleasant, especially our second year, my second year in Svidnik. I was a very good student. I was honored. And
what type of subjects did you take? Do you recall some of them?
Počty, angličtinu, that's math, Slovenčinu is Slovak, history, chemiu, chemistry. Yeah, it was a very good school. You don't ask me what I remember from it now, but I was a good student at the time. So the second year was my best, with a lot of good friends, and we had good times. In the evening, we would get together in the bodega. Bodega is where you buy your ice cream. Steinerneni, the lady owner of the bodega, she baked home-baked cheese deltel, cheesecakes, the most delicious. And we had credit there. We also had credit in the bakery for 10 o'clock Josend, Olavrand. It's a snack, 10 o'clock snack. Was
like
very
recess here?
Like recess here. It was very important. So we would go to the bakery and get a horn and chocolate milk.
And who paid this?
Well, our parents. but if we didn't have money on us, so it was credit, you know. So it was very good. It was very good. Then, the third year, that's when it all started out.
I'd like to ask you just a little bit more about the background, your early memories. Was this an all-Jewish town, or did you have non-Jewish people live there? Do you recall any interrelationships with your family and non-Jewish people in the town? Could you share that with us?
No, there were only 3 Jewish families in Vyšná Pisana. All not Jewish. I don't recall no anti-Semitism at that time at all. They worked for my father. We had a lady that came to our house ever since I could remember, Maria. I saw her in 1970 when I went back. The relationship with the non-Jewish people was nice, was normal. They knew that we observed the Sabbath. They knew that a woman comes to make the fire on Sabbath because we were not allowed, or the lights, and the relationship was great, I would say.
Did you ever play with the Christian children?
Of course we did. With the Polish children that lived right around us, and with the Slovaks. I mean, it made no difference. It made no difference at all. It was a very good relationship, and even in school. I have non-Jewish friends. I visited them in 1970, and I went back to Czechoslovakia.
Do they remember you well?
Of course. I visited them first when we came back, when we went back home, and then in 1970 I looked them up. Sure, they're young men, and they remembered me. It was good friendship. It was good friendship. No, made no difference.
In business also, did your father say he was able to get along well?
Yeah, as far as I could remember. I don't remember ever father telling problems, except probably the everyday problems, and like in any normal life, you know. Mm-hmm. But I don't recall any problems. Mm-mm.
Bertha, you said there were only 3 Jewish families in that little town. Where did your father go for synagogue prayers, or how did you all participate in services?
Well, in Medvedev, that was another little town that where the minyan was. That's where the services were conducted. And when I remember to go on the high holidays, so we walked there. I don't know how far it was. It was like over the hill, so it must not have been too far. And they got together, and there was minyan. There were the services on Sabbath. And I don't know what was Friday night like, though. I don't know if my father went there or not. I don't remember this. But on Saturday morning and on all the holidays, and on high holidays, we would walk together with parents and stay there overnight. We slept on floors. We slept wherever was possible.
Where'd you stay with other families?
With other families, sure. And mother took along food for the children. And it was fun. It was good. It was very good.
Did your father have any attachment to any special rabbi, or?
It's a Pinker rabbi.
There was a special Hasidic
religious
special leader?
Yeah. And my father would go on Sukkot.
It's a feast of booths or tabernacles.
Yeah. He would go there every year, that I remember. Because that was his rabbi. And but mother didn't go along, only him. She stayed home with us. I remember that a couple of times that my father left. To go back to all this.
Bertha, do you recall ever hearing news from other countries, the outside world, from your childhood? Or was your world really enclosed in that special place?
Very much enclosed. in Pisala, in Kapišova and Svidnik. The school, the home, the everyday life. I do not recall. No. Then, when trouble came, that's when we started to hear.
In the
But
1930s, did you ever hear of anything that was going on in Germany?
I
You
don't
weren't
recall
aware of
at
that?
all. I was not aware of anything because, I had a normal life.
Your parents never talked about that with you?
No, I don't recall that at all in the 30s.
Bertha, did your parents ever anticipate that any of you might leave that town or that area, either your brothers or the children as they would grow older? Did they ever think about having you settle someplace outside of those small towns?
I do recall Lily, my oldest sister, that she should maybe go to America. I think my parents had here some relatives, but they were not successful to get an affidavit for her. And another thing that I recall is that my father said, being very religious, that in America, everything is treif. Even the stones are treif.
That means not kosher.
Not kosher.
Not suitable for religious people.
For religious people. So, he wouldn't agree with my sister leaving home. But then she got married and she moved from Pisan. She lived in Humene. That was a city already. But that's the only story that I remember with Lily. Of course, the boys were not home anyhow. The boys were in the Hebrew schools.
What were your own dreams, Bertha? What did you think about?
Boyfriends at the time, yeah. My own, that's all. I don't think so I had anything there. I can't recall. I had boyfriends and I had a good time in school. That was fine with me. And coming home and being with the parents, I think was great.
Did you ever have any dreams of what you would do in the future when you grew up?
Yeah, I had my own dream.
Which was?
And I had, my idol was Vaginiova, the teacher that I idolized. And that's the one I wanted to be like Vaginiova. And I wanted to become a teacher. That was my dream. In all the years, and I kept on telling my mother all the time, because my father, being a Hasid for him was good enough. 5 years of school, just learn Hebrew and get married and whatever. Mother was different. As a matter of fact, my mother registered me for Svidnik without my father knowing about it. And I remember it costed 20 crowns. And 20 crowns at the time was a lot of money, I imagine. So, so she registered me without my father knowing that. And once I was registered, and all right, so for Brindala, so okay. So that's how I went to Svidnik to school. I always wanted to become a teacher, just like Vaginiova.
Did that involve thinking about going to university someday?
Oh, yeah.
Where did you hear about university? Where would you have gone?
That we knew, Bardejov or Prešov. Well, that was the closest. And I wanted to go to Prešov, not Bardejov. Because to Bardejov, I went quite often because we had an uncle there and an aunt that wanted to adopt me in the worst way because they had no children. So I went quite often there, vacations. So I didn't want Bardejov. I wanted Prešov. That's the dream that I remember, which never became a reality. But that's what I wanted to be. And of course, if I remember to talk to Mother about it, she said, yeah, we're going to try. Just study, be a good student, and we'll try. And I'm sure I would have made it. I'm positive.
When did you first begin to realize that things weren't going to continue in the same beautiful way in your hometown? Do you recall the first inklings of something being different?
Well, the first inkling came when the non-Jewish woman was not allowed to come to a Jewish home.
Who made that rule?
The Slovaks. The Slovak Gardisten, they called them.
How did
It's
they
like
let you know that? Was it in a newspaper?
Well,
or
it
the
was in a
radio?
newspaper. Sure, it was in a newspaper, and if she did come, like this Maria that I talked about, if she did come, she came early in the morning. Nobody should see her, just to make the fire for us, especially in the winter time. The next thing was in school. My third year in Sweden, we were not tested, and we were given the worst grades. And I didn't even finish my third year. That's when my first recollection of the
coming
of the Nazis.
How did your
But-
teachers treat you?
Not nice
Do you
at
recall
all.
any specific incident?
They would hit us. We were not allowed to say anything in the classes.
They didn't call upon you
They
to
didn't
respond?
call upon us at all. When the report cards came, we just got the worst grades automatically, without being tested, without being called down, without being anything. Then I remember making the yellow bands in school. We had to do
Yellow
it
bands for what?
we started out with yellow bands on our arms, the sign of being Jewish, and then the Star of David. I also recall making Hakenkreuz in school.
Swastikas?
That's right. That's right. And that was the end of our schooling. We had to leave.
How did you feel about making those yellow bands? Did you think of leaving the place, or did you feel you had to stay? Do you recall any of your feelings about this?
What I recall is that I couldn't understand what this is all about. At that time, I didn't know what it was all about.
What did your parents think when you told them?
You know, with having a religious father, so he always said, "Oh, God is going to help us." That was my father saying, "God is going to help us." My mother was more troubled. My mother was more realistic about it. And what I could remember is she said that who knows what problems and what troubles is waiting for us.
Do you recall neighbors ever getting together to talk about this, or did you talk about it with your friends?
No.
Making stars? Or
But with the Jewish girls, yes. With the Jewish girls in school, what this is all about, we talked about it, but I don't think so we realized.
you
I
had
don't-
nothing in mind about what may be in store?
No, no. At least I can't recall these things. It wasn't good. We knew that because we knew that we cannot continue school. They don't want us. They threw us out. And so we knew that something is coming. So that must have been probably 1939, I think, when Czechoslovakia fell apart. And that's when we had to stop school.
38 was the appeasement, and you said you were in school about
yeah,
39.
Yeah, I think. I don't know if I'm correct about the years, really. And
That's close.
Yeah, and from 39 or 40, maybe 40, to 42, when I was taken to Auschwitz, I think I was just home.
Do you recall the non-Jewish neighbors, the Christian neighbors, during the beginning of this upheaval? Was there any change in your relationship with them? Do you recall anything?
Well, there was a big change because even the ones that were nice were afraid to have anything to do with us. So they stayed away. They stayed away from us. The biggest problem was the Sabbath, the woman for the Sabbath. Otherwise, we had very little contact with them, except at work with my father, because my father's work continued, and the work for the man. But with us at home, they wouldn't come around. Well, they were afraid, because I suppose the police was everywhere, so they were afraid to come around.
Bertha, did your parents ever think of leaving or going someplace, that things might get worse? Did you talk about that?
I don't think so. I only remember once we moved from Vyšná Pisana to Kapišova, and I remember it because it was high holidays in between, and I can't recall why. The only thing that I could think of is because we lived only 4 kilometers from the Polish border, and in Poland, you know, they had the troubles, so they started 38 or 39, and we would see Polish Jews running and going to Hungary. So we moved from Pisana to Kapišova just to be safe, not to be so close to the Polish border. But then I recall that we moved back to Pisana, because when I was taken from Pisana. So, and I don't recall how long we lived in Kapišova. That's the next town from Pisana. But I do recall that we moved from Pisana.
Do you recall the change of atmosphere in your own home? Did things begin to change as far as supplies and the ability to procure food? What
the whole
happened?
atmosphere changed. That I remember my father being very worried. What's going to happen? It's the only thing that I recall, the two of them talking. What's going to happen to us, and what's going to happen to the children? What's going to happen with the Welt, with the world? Versorgt, worried. Not the same father, not the same face. Especially when one Passover Eve, I remember we were outside and Polish Jews were running from Poland, now Wengry they call it, that means Hungary. And I remember my mother said, would you like to stay with us for the Seder, for Pesach? And he says, and this as if it would happen now. He says, no, they have to go because the troubles in Poland are tremendous, and the Jews are running away, and he cannot stay so close to Polish border, so they couldn't stay. And so when we did have the Seder, so I remember my father saying, who knows where we're going to be next Seder. And boy, was he right of saying this. Was he right?
Did you hear anything in the radio about that time, of what was happening?
Yeah, by that time, on the radio, I could recall when Czechoslovakia fell apart and the Gardisten, what they're going to do to the Jews. All the things that they predicted. That's what then they brought it out.
So you were aware
So
that
we
things
were aware
were
by then.
getting bad.
Yeah, yeah. And as I say, I could recall my parents' faces were not the same.
Did any of the neighbors ever come together, or relatives of yours, do you ever recall that they made any plans of what they would do or what the family should do?
No, I don't, Litris. I really don't recall. That one uncle that we had there, he came around. I remember Nukumbachi being home with us. They didn't know what to do. It's just sitting there and waiting what's going to happen. And that's exactly what we did when they took me, for instance.
There were no attempts to escape or to run away or to
No,
go
except
anyplace?
they when things got very close, very bad, so they my sisters were hidden, and I don't even know how that happened.
Where were your brothers at this time?
My oldest brother was in Uzhhorod, and my second oldest brother, Wolvi, I think, was home. Yeah, he worked at home, I think. Yeah, Wolvi was at home because I remember when they took me, Wolvi was in Prešov to see about Magda and Fanny, if they're okay. Because he came to Stropkov to say goodbye to me, and he told me that the girls are okay.
How old was the youngest child?
How old was Hershey? I don't know, 10?
So he was a youngster.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the only thing that I could recall. Being my oldest brother was married, and he lived in Uzhhorod.
Did he have any children yet at that time?
Yeah, my brother had 2 boys.
That is the brother you're going to see now?
That's the brother that I'm going to go to see. And I found his wife's and his children's luggage in Auschwitz, and they were taken.
Bertha, we're going to stop for a moment, and we'll come back very shortly to continue with your story. This is Leatrice Rabinski. We are interviewing Bertha Lautman, a Holocaust survivor. The project is sponsored by the National Council of Jewish Women, Cleveland section. This is part 2. Bertha, you were taking us into 1942 already, when 2 of your sisters were away from home. Can you tell us what happened when the Nazis first came into town then?
Yes. In March 1942, a law came out that they will take girls to work. It said to work in Slovakia. Girls age of 16. My oldest sister was married, Lily, so that they didn't take married girls at the time. My sister Magda and Fanny were hidden. They were not at home. Somehow, I don't know how it happened that my parents had the foresight, but they sent the girls away. They were in Prešov. When my parents got a message from Kapišova that the police is coming for the girls, my mother hid me. Well, it's only she pushed me away. She put me to the neighbor's house. And when the police came, they didn't find the girls, my sister's at home, so they wanted to take the father. So my mother came, got me, and that's when my deportation starts out.
She wanted to spare your
My father
from leaving.
Yeah. So.
Do you recall what happened exactly at that time?
Yeah, I remember that quite well. When we started to pack, I was born with, I think they call it cowl. It's a skin on a baby's head. The midwife took this off from my head, and it's supposed to be luck. It's a lucky baby, and it's kept by the parents till the girl gets married, or a boy. It happened to be me, and when you go under the chuppah,
the marriage canopy.
Yeah, it's you put it on under your veil, and that is supposed to be luck. So when my parents started to pack me, I asked for that. And so my father, I remember, answered, we're not going to give it to you now, but you're going to write, and we're going to mail it to you. The next thing I recall is being from religious parents. My father blessed me. I remember the stool I was sitting on. I remember his hands over my head. I have them all the time over my head, and I'm so glad that I walk around with it.
He blessed you before you left the house?
Yeah.
Do you remember any words that he said to you?
The most I remember, he said, oh, God is going to help. You're going to come back home soon, and you're only going here in Slovakia. And it was supposed to be in Zvolen. It's a city in Slovakia. And the crying, I mean, I guess that's my first recollection of my father, seeing him cry after when I was leaving. It was towards evening already by the time I left home, and it was 4 weeks before Passover. I remember we had clothes hanging outside on the lines, and my mother told Hershey, my little brother, make sure that you bring the clothes in, because my mother came with me. I went to Kapišova with my mother on these wagons that I talked about, that they were transporting the wood from Pisana to Kapišova. I could still see my father walking away. I remember it very well. Leaving home. So we left, and my mother came with me to Kapišova. In Kapišova, we had to report at the police station, and we spent the night with Einhorn family, with the family that the boy that went to school with me. And in Kapišova, there were quite a few. That was a bigger town already, more Jews. Everybody got together there in this Einhorn home, everybody talked about it. Nobody could figure out where are they taking us.
Were there other girls that you were with who were leaving with you?
Yeah, yeah. I remember sleeping very little. Very little. I don't think so. My mother slept at all. They were sitting there. I could recall. I could see faces. I remember it so well. The next morning, we had to leave Kapišova by buses, and we were taken to Stropkov. Stropkov was where all the girls from East Slovakia were concentrated.
Were there a lot of girls traveling with you at that time? Do you remember talking with those girls? Did they say anything? What did you think about?
We were wondering where we are taken. That's the only thing. And I don't think so I ever thought of that this is my last time of seeing my parents. I don't think so anybody thought it's going to be that bad. At least I don't recall this. I don't recall this.
Did you anticipate going to work?
Going to work and
Did you
coming
know what
back
kind?
home in a shoe factory.
That's what they told you?
Yeah, swollen in a shoe factory. So just going away for a while and then coming back home. Nobody. I don't even think that the parents. Nobody thought of Auschwitz.
Did you know what Auschwitz was?
No. No, of course not. Never heard about Auschwitz. And I don't think so our parents knew. I don't think so our parents would thought of destroying the Jews, killing, burning crematoriums. I don't think so. It's just that they're taking us and we'll come back. So we traveled to Stropkov, and that was the time when I had to say goodbye to my mother. And in Stropkov, my second oldest brother came from Prešov, and he was the one that told me that the girls are okay, and he's going to be going home with my mother. I was a very little girl, and especially being the youngest and not grown up like girls are here at that age. So, but as soon as I didn't see my mother, I grew up instantly. I became very independent, very grown up. I remember mother walking away from the bus. She probably aged 10 years from one night to the next. Well, we said goodbye. And I said goodbye to my brother. And we left. We were taken from Stropkov to Poprad. Poprad was the city where all the girls were concentrated from all Slovakia, east and west. We stayed there, I think, overnight in Poprad. And the next day, we were put in these cattle wagons, packed like sardines. Whenever I think of it, I can understand how we survived the trip to Auschwitz. We traveled, I think it's 2 days and 3 nights, or 3 nights and 2 days, I can't recall for sure. The train would stop at certain stations, and if there were any people on the station, we would kind of try through the windows, to the small windows, holler, scream, yell, asking. People didn't know. Close before Auschwitz, on one station, it was mentioned Oswiecim. But of course, we didn't know what Oswiecim was, what Oswiecim meant. Oswiecim meant Auschwitz. When we arrived.
In the cattle wagon?
In the cattle wagons.
Were they all the girls from your area, or were there any other people with you?
Other girls also. But
just young girls?
Young girls, and there were girls with me that my mother asked they should take care of me because I was a little girl there. And so we all kind of stuck together. We made a clique and stayed together. We stayed together in Auschwitz also. So we arrived in Auschwitz. Now, I went back 3 times. Somehow I cannot recall the station, and I cannot recall the distance from the station to the camp. But we arrived to Auschwitz March 23rd, 1942. The train stopped and the doors opened. SS men with huge German Shepherd dogs. And the only thing we heard is los, mach schnell, which means hurry up, make it fast. We got out from the trains, stand in line. Our belongings didn't matter if we took it along or not, but of course everybody tried to take it along. And we marched up to the camp. I don't recall how long it took to walk up to the camp either.
Do those guards accompany you?
The guards accompanied us with the dogs. Those dogs were so well trained. To this day, I'm afraid of dogs. When we got to the camp with the sign Arbeit macht frei, didn't know what was going on. I mean, if I think back, because I have no idea what I thought this is.
When you saw work makes you free, what did you think then? You think it was a work camp?
Yeah. Just work. But it wasn't in Slovakia anymore. See? That was kind of confusing because work, all right, but it wasn't in Slovakia. And SS. So they took us to the left and told us to get undressed.
Was this outside or inside?
Outside.
Was it cold?
March. Europe is very cold. Very cold. So being a young girl and to get undressed in front of men wasn't the most comfortable thing. So we started to take off just piece by piece. But of course, we had to get undressed all the way. And they took us inside a barrack. And they had 3 tubs of water.
Were they just water, or do you recall that it felt any different from water?
It had something in it.
Was
I
there
don't remember
burning,
what.
or you don't recall?
I don't
any
recall,
specific-
but it had something in it. And then they shaved my hair. The first 50 were internally checked, and I was between the first 50. Our numbers tattooed. My number is 1048. I was never referred to my name in all the years in camp. It was always 1048. 1048. We got our camp clothes.
What was that like?
Blue stripes, pants, and no, pardon me, I think it was a dress for the girls, and a small blue checked towel that we used for our head. Can you imagine in March to come out from after 3 tubs of water and shaved and with a little bit, very little clothes on?
Did you have underwear?
No, no. And to stay outside again in line, waiting to be taken to the block. It's not normal. Well, we were taken to block 1. We stayed in that block for 4 weeks without going to work.
What did you do all day?
Nothing, just sat. Well, we were woken up early in the morning for Zählappell. Zählappell is roll call. You're being counted. And we were counted all the time, morning and night. For 2-3 hours, Celapel was nothing in that cold weather. My shoes were wooden.
Like clogs?
The wooden clogs, yeah. And the socks are very thin. I don't know how I survived that. So for the first 4 weeks, that's what we did. We stayed Celapel in the morning. We got our black coffee with a small piece of bread. That was our breakfast. And waited in the beds. In Auschwitz, we didn't have koyas like in Birkenau. In Auschwitz, we had bunk beds. I must take it. We sat and we talked about home. We talked about parents. And we talked about food. Well, food because we were hungry. Parents, I say we because this is the clique that my mother asked the girls to take care of me. We were ready to give our lives to see our parents one more time. I'm still ready.
Did you have any special friends there?
Oh yeah, I had Regina Hertova, I had Pesel Steiner. She's on that picture where we baked the matzahs. I remember when they took her to the crematorium. She was very sick. I had Relly Steiner. A lot of these girls that we went to school with. Regina Dajčová, sure, of course, a lot of them. Or I had Ruzhena Kleiman, for instance, that I am still in touch with, that I still correspond with. We came to Auschwitz together. We went through a lot together. And I stay in touch with her from Bratislava. After the 4 weeks of not working, they started to take us to work. What was our work? Digging ditches, day in and day out.
Was that near the camp or on the campgrounds?
No. We had to march, I bet we marched about 5 kilometers to get to these ditches. I have no idea what they used them for. But this was our work, day in and day out.
Who supervised you?
SS with the German dogs.
Was it harsh?
Very harsh, because if you stood up, just straighten yourself up a little bit, the dog would jump on you. I mean, it had to be continuously working, continuously digging. We were woken up early, Celapel, and then the black coffee, and then going to work. The diet for lunch was soup made out of horse meat, which was horrible. And then when we came back to the camp, again, Celapel for hours, and the black coffee and a small piece of bread. Very little food, really. The first 4 weeks, I didn't eat the soup because it was made from horse meat, and horse meat isn't kosher. After the 4 weeks, Passover came.
You were keeping account of days?
Yeah, somehow or other, I knew when is Passover. And you know, by Passover, I had a Hebrew prayer book already.
Do you know
Don't remember how I got it, but I got a book already by then. So when Passover came around, I gave up the bread because you're not allowed to eat bread on Passover. And I ate the soup. Now, to give up from very little food, to have the nerve, the guts, the will, to give up the bread for the whole week of Passover, that meant a lot of respect for parents, because I did it probably out of respect for my parents.
This was your defiance.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I was able to do for them.
Were you able to get any news at all through new arrivals of what may have happened at home?
Oh yeah, when new girls came later on, so they told us what's going on. And I knew when my parents were taken to Majdanek. But getting back to Auschwitz and myself, after Passover, little by little, I ate the bread and I ate the soup. And I was in Auschwitz till August of 1942 with the same work, with the same Zählappell, with the same thoughts of going to the bathrooms and hearing, making up news. We call them záchodové správy, the news that you get in the washrooms. So the správy, the news was that, oh, we're going to be liberated tomorrow. We're going to be liberated tomorrow. Tomorrow came much too late. Much too late. August 1942, we moved from Auschwitz to Birkenau.
Did you know what that was or what you were going to?
No. No,
How did you get there?
Marching up, just marching up.
Did they tell you what you were going there for?
No. They brought us to Birkenau, they put us in the barracks.
What was Birkenau like? What did it look like to you when you came there?
Birkenau looked worse than Auschwitz, because the Auschwitz barracks were nicer because of it was made for soldiers. It was built for soldiers. The barracks in Birkenau were horrible. There was no floors. It was just earth, and instead of bunk beds like in Auschwitz, we had koyas, we called them.
Like shelves.
Yeah, like shelves. That's right. So slept on wood, on boards only, with a couple blankets for 6 girls in one
cement walls.
In cement walls, and the entrance, as you recall, the entrance to get into the barracks, the terrible picture. And I was there till October 31st, 1944, in these barracks. So when we came to Birkenau, August, I was very concerned about winter, being that I'm always very cold. I'm cold right now. I heard one day that they were looking for girls for Leichenkommando. Leichenkommando is sacred society, I think they call them. Wherever a person dies, we were the ones to pick the body up and brought into the Leichenhalle. Leichenhalle was a booth that we just threw one body on top of the other, and then the truck would come around 2 o'clock in the morning, and we would throw again the bodies on the truck and be taken to the crematorium.
Bertha, had you seen a lot of dead bodies, or were you aware of so much death when you were in Auschwitz I in the main camp?
Auschwitz I, we didn't see that many. Auschwitz I, we heard about, we saw committing suicide. But dead bodies laying actually on the streets, on the camp, we didn't see in Auschwitz I, as we saw in Birkenau, Auschwitz II.
What did you think when you saw all of these bodies?
Well, by then we knew that this is the end. By then, like Rivka went today to the crematorium and I'll go tomorrow. By then, the only hope that I was hoping for and the only prayers that I had is they should give us enough gas once we get to the crematorium to the sauna before the crematorium. There was no life. There was no hope anymore.
You really faced death?
Oh, of course. Death only, as I say, I prayed only for giving us enough gas, not to suffer.
Did you see the crematorium? Were you aware of where they were and the gas chambers?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they were in Brzezinki, and of course, you couldn't miss it. The camp was lit up from the crematoriums 24 hours a day. The crematorium was going, especially in 1944 when the Hungarian people came. The crematorium was on day and night.
When you arrived in 42, were you aware of people being taken from the barracks or of transports coming?
Yeah, because people started to come to Birkenau. Also, the selections started out in Birkenau. So we were aware of killings. We were aware of, by then, of the crematoriums.
What were the selections like?
The selections were when we were marching from work in the evening. And you didn't have to be sick. It's just whatever the SS felt like it. So you go to the left, you go to the right. Those were the selections. Most of the time the biggest selections they made was on holidays, Jewish holidays. One I recall was, I think, Yom Kippur. We stayed in the Leichenhalle. I was in Leichenkommando already by then. We were in the Leichenhalle all day. And that was the biggest selection of Birkenau, where from 18,000 of the first transport from Slovakia, young girls, we were left about 300. That was the biggest selection.
They took all those girls?
All. Leichenkommando belonged to the hospital, to the Revier. So we were waiting when the SS will come for us. But then when they did come, our capo was a lady from Slovakia, and she said that we belonged to the Revier, so they left us.
The capo was like an overseer?
Yeah.
Or guard?
A guard, yeah.
Was she also a prisoner?
She was also a prisoner, yes. They didn't take us to the crematorium.
Were you relieved, or what did you think about it?
So we didn't go today, so we'll go tomorrow. I remember I held on to Suri. Suri was my very close friend from home, much older than I was. But again, with my mother seeing, so Suri and I were together on the koya, on that bed, and I got her into the Leichenkommando, and we were holding on all day long, just so we should go together to the crematorium. Could never forget it.
Did Suri survive?
Suri survived. She went to Israel. She died in Israel. She had cancer and she died in Israel.
Bertha, tell us about Leichenkommando.
Yeah, getting back to Leichenkommando is when I heard that they were looking for girls for Leichenkommando and such horrible job, the girls around me said, now why would you want to do something like this? And I said from the very beginning, as soon as I didn't see my mother, I grew up instantly. I was very independent, and I figured it didn't make no difference what kind of job I would do as long as I wouldn't have to march out, because I was afraid for the winter. And I was lucky enough to get that job in Leichenkommando. And I think that was the best work in Auschwitz. I didn't have to stay Celapel. And we got a double portion of the food. Not to stand Celapel, that was a big thing already.
In the cold weather in the morning.
cold weather. And a double portion of the food was great. And believe it or not, we had an SS doctor that was very nice to us. Once in a while, he would open up the water for us to wash our hands too. And then later on, I remember he gave us gloves. So when we would have to pick up a body, we had gloves. He was an SS doctor. Why was he so good to me? I think because he was in love with a Slovak lady doctor. And the lady doctor worked in the so-called hospital. And I think she must have told him, and he allowed it. So Leichenkommando was my best place. And I also think that's how I survived Birkenau. I didn't go through selections, except this one in that Leichenhalle. And then I went through another selection after Leichenkommando already. But I wasn't too worried about it because I had this Slovak lady doctor behind me. I was like her pet, the little girl with a lady doctor and the SS doctor in love with her. So I wasn't too worried that I'd be taken to the crematorium. And I wasn't. I went through the selection, but I wasn't.
Bertha, how did you feel when you had to take those bodies and pile them on the trucks in the morning? Did you ever look at some of those bodies? Do you recall any kind of feelings that you may have had?
I recall the bodies. I recall girls that died, girls that I knew from home. We would be very careful with that body. We wouldn't just throw it like the rest of them. I remember asking for forgiveness. They say Mahila beten. I remember this.
Of the dead person?
Of the dead person, that's right. And that before we threw it on the truck to be taken to the crematorium. I also recall to remember, I figured, oh, whatever the date is now, just in case if I do survive, and if any families would survive of that particular girl, I should be able to tell them when to observe yahrzeit.
That's the anniversary of death.
Of death. Can't remember the dates though.
But you remember some of your girlfriends?
Of course I do. Of course I do. I also remember from the 25th block.
What was that?
The 25th block was where they threw in a lot of girls, sick, most of them sick. And when they made the selections, they all pushed them into this 25th block. And I remember Sam Wall's sister. Sam Wall is a family friend that I remembered from home, from before the Holocaust. And the sister came with me to Auschwitz, and she was in between those selections, and she was sorted out to go to the crematorium, and they threw her in that 25th block. And I said goodbye to Rivce.
How did you do that? How did you get into there?
Because being a Leichenkommando, so I could have gone with the stretchers, the 5 girls, it wasn't me only, and we said goodbye to her.
How did you say goodbye?
Was she knew. Aware? Of course.
How did she react to that?
Dneska ja, zajtra ostatni. Today is me, and tomorrow the rest of them. There was no life for us. There was no life for us. It was death. It's today you, tomorrow I'm going.
How did you say goodbye to her? What did she ask you?
Well, Rivce did tell me if I do survive, if there is going to be a oslobodenje, if there is going to be a liberation, and if anybody survives from her family, I should tell them how she died. Well, her brother, Sam Wall, he did survive. I never told him in details how his sister died, but I did tell him that I said goodbye to her. Sad stories.
Did you ever contemplate suicide yourself?
Oh yeah. Suicide was very easy in Birkenau. Just touch the barbed wires, and it took a second.
It was electrified?
Electrified, sure. I took a lot of girls away from the wires. The SS would shut off the electricity, and we would take the body away and take it in the Leichenkommando. A lot of girls did commit suicide. And when I had my hair shaved for the 7th time, this is when I really was very serious about it. Suri, the girl, my friend that I mentioned before, she was the one that talked me out of it.
How did she tell you not to do that?
Not to do it. You know, maybe we'll survive. Maybe we'll be liberated. And it's not the right thing to do by Jews, to commit suicide. So here I am. And it was Suri that talked me out of it. How did I get my hair shaved for the 7th time? After Leichenkommando, I was in Rotkäppchen. Rotkäppchen was a commando that unpacked the belongings, the suitcases that the new transport the people that came in brought along.
That means red hats. Did you wear red hats?
Red, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't a bad place to work because we had the food there, but what the people brought, so we were able to eat. And I had a good friend, a French girl in camp, and I put on a blouse I wanted to bring for her. And I was caught at the entrance. I was caught that I have a blouse on me. And that was the punishment, to shave my hair again. And that was the 7th time, and I was sick about it. So that was the time when I really was considering committing suicide.
Were you ever punished in any other way during Birkenau?
The only time that I was very careful. One of my friends came home from work and told me that she saw my second oldest brother, my Volby, at the same place. And
he was in Birkenau also?
That was, yeah. Mm-hmm. And she said that she thinks he might be there tomorrow. So I wanted to see him without, I thought I'll say without asking permission. It wouldn't have helped me to ask permission because I would have never get permission. But I changed commandos. And I marched out with this friend of mine, and I did get to see my brother.
Was he aware that you were there?
Yeah.
He saw you?
We saw each other, but just motioned. And when I marched back into the camp, the SS noticed that I wasn't from that commando. So that's where I was hit with her, whatever you call it.
Her stick?
Yeah. That's the only time that I remember. I was very careful. I never went to get a double portion of any food. I stayed away. I was very careful. But it was worth it to me to see my brother.
Did you ever see him again?
No. He died in Birkenau. We found in Košice, we found a Totenscheinmeldung from him, a death certificate that came from Birkenau. So he died there, but I did get to see him.
While you were working in the clothing, did you ever find clothing or packages or suitcases that were labeled from your hometown or people that you knew?
Yeah. I found my brother's wife's suitcases. My brother, the one that I have, he survived. She came with 2 little boys, my brother's children. I remembered the address, the city and the address, and all their luggage. So I knew that she went straight to the crematorium. And of course, coming with 2 little children, she had no other chance but going to the crematorium. That was in 1944, when the Hungarian people came, 24 hours a day, the transports came, and most of them went to the crematoriums. So I found the luggage. Yeah.
What did you do with all of that clothing and articles? Can you describe that, what you did with it?
All were sorted.
Did you unpack the luggage?
Unpack, sorted. The Germans are very pinklish, very precise, and everything was shipped, probably for soldiers, probably for families. People brought beautiful things along, and everything was sorted, everything was shipped away.
Did you help sort?
Oh, yeah.
Where did you put all of these items?
In stacks, and it was packed in huge cartons. It was all shipped away, probably for, as I say, for soldiers' families. Everything was used up.
Bertha, did you ever witness an arrival of a transport while you were in Birkenau?
I did.
Could you tell us about that?
The famous ramps in Birkenau, where the trains arrived, the people were taken out, and Dr. Mengele doing the selections to the left and to the right. To the right was to the crematorium, to the left to the camp. If I face Mengele, yeah. Very few to the camp. All were marching up, and we were able to see this through the barbed wires because it wasn't far from the camps. The camps and the ramps were very close by, and we saw all this. A lot of times the Sonderkommando were the men that worked in the crematorium, would tell a mother to leave the child because they knew what would happen with the mother if she's going to hold on to the child. Very few, of course, gave up. I mean, how can you give up your child? So most of them went to the crematorium, and the very few came to the camp. And when we would tell, the ones that came to the camp didn't want to believe that this is a crematorium where they burn people till they didn't find out.
Were you aware of it in any other way? Was there evidence? Did you see smoke? Did you smell anything?
The smell was there for 24 hours, constantly, all the time. The flames. You hear the screaming, the yelling, children crying, with Shema Israel all the time.
The prayer?
It was the prayer. It was all there. 1944 was the worst because the transports came one after the other. The Germans were, as I say, very precise. By the time the next transports came, there was no sign of the first 1,000 people, just the few that came to the camp. It was all burned. And the flames were on all the time. And the smell, of course. The crematoriums were not far from the camps. So by the time the ones that did come into the camp, they realized that it's true, that they're burning people there. That's when the screaming, the yelling, the crying started out, with the families lost everybody.
Did you ever hear any news during these 2 years and some months about your own family?
Yeah, I heard when Lily came.
She came to Auschwitz
Lily
also?
came to Auschwitz. And
did you see
they
her?
Told me, no, they told me that she was pregnant, of course, so she went straight to the crematorium. Then when Gershon Bash, somebody that I know from home, I remember from home, he said that Magda came, and she never came to the camp. So she went straight to the crematorium. And then my sister Fanny was caught in Bratislava. That's another story. My sister Fanny lived in Bratislava as a non-Jew on false Gentile papers that some of the young boys made up And like my husband was on false papers, and so was my sister. She had a friend that was also on false papers, and one day the police came and they were together. So it was no big problem to find out if the young man was a Jew, because only Jewish boys would be circumcised. So that was the sign that he's a Jew. And of course my sister was there, so she must be Jewish also. So the two of them were taken, and she came to Auschwitz November 1st, 1944. My sister Fanny. But she survived. She survived. So my parents were taken I was taken 4 weeks before Passover, and my parents were taken on Shavuos. That makes it 4 weeks and...
Almost 3 months later.
Yeah. So my parents were taken with my little brother together, and they were taken to Majdanek.
You heard about this from
I
somebody
heard about
from
it,
home?
Yeah, I heard about it because I think even my brother, the one that I saw in Auschwitz, I think he came from Majdanek. That's what I was told, that he came from Majdanek to Birkenau, because he wasn't the only one that came. More boys came that we knew from home. So, and my parents, when we were able to talk to another young man that came from Majdanek, Ichabash, he said that my parents were working in the kitchen and my little brother was with them. That was 42. Yeah, that was 1942.
How long were you then in Birkenau?
I left Birkenau October 31st, 1944. That makes it from 42 March, almost 2.5 years.
2.5 years. During all that time, were you ever aware of any underground movement or any kind of organized resistance?
No.
Would it at all have been possible, do you think?
No, we did not hear about anything underground. We did not know about partisans or anything, except when Gershon Bash came. When Gershon Bash came, he was with me one day by the Leichenkommando, and he told us more about what happened with the Jews from Slovakia and with the partisans. That's the only thing that I knew then. Right?
Bertha, we're going to stop for a moment now, and then we'll return to continue your story. I'm Leitris Rabinski. Today we are interviewing Bertha Lautman, a Holocaust survivor. The project is sponsored by the National Council of Jewish Women, Cleveland section. This is part 3. Bertha, you were telling us about the last of your days as a prisoner in Birkenau concentration camp. Could you tell us how that ended and where you went from there?
Birkenau ended for me October 31st, 1944, when girls were taken to other camps. I was taken by train from Birkenau to Bergen-Belsen.
Did many girls go with you?
Yes.
Do you have any
Yes.
idea how many?
I don't know by number, but quite a few. It was a full train. So we didn't know where we were taken, but when we arrived, we found out it was Bergen-Belsen.
Do you know why you were emptied out from Birkenau? Did you have any
Well,
idea?
the SS were trying to empty out Auschwitz and Birkenau because the war was coming to an end, and it was very close to Auschwitz. As a matter of fact, Auschwitz was liberated in January of 1945.
Did you have any idea of what was taking place with
No.
the war militarily?
No, I didn't. But the idea of evacuating Birkenau was because the war was coming to an end.
You found
So-
this out later.
Later on, yeah. So I was taken to Bergen-Belsen. Bergen-Belsen was another Birkenau, except we did not go out to work.
Were you
But-
aware that this was in Germany now? You had traveled from
We
Poland to
traveled
Germany?
from, yeah, we were aware of that. Somehow we found that out. We didn't do anything. There wasn't even much of Zelappel in Bergen-Belsen. There was nothing.
Could you describe how Bergen-Belsen looked to you when you arrived?
In Bergen-Belsen, the camp was surrounded by woods, forests, all around the camp. Very cold, wet, a lot of rain, with a lot of water. I slept plenty of nights on water, plenty of nights. And by then, our physical strength was not there anymore, and I remember that I could hardly walk. We found out, more girls came to Bergen-Belsen, so I found out that my sister came to Birkenau through a friend of mine that came to Bergen-Belsen. So I've decided to start to work, to get a job in a hospital, just in case if my sister does come to Bergen-Belsen. My idea was that I was hungry for so many years already. I'm used to being hungry, but I didn't know about my sister, so I figured, well, in the hospital, whatever food there was, the people couldn't eat anyhow, so I would have food for my sister. So I worked in a hospital in Bergen-Belsen.
What did you do there?
Bandages, for the wounds on the feet, on the legs, gave out whatever, if there was any pills, or most of the time it was really ichthyol, the black salve for infections. That was my, and I guess just with a little bit of attention to the patients there in the hospital.
Was there a crematorium in Bergen-Belsen?
Yes, but not like in Birkenau. In Bergen-Belsen, they only took to the crematorium dead people. They didn't gas them like in Birkenau. So that was Bergen-Belsen till liberation. I was liberated in Bergen-Belsen.
Can you tell us more about the daily routine in Bergen-Belsen? Did you have to stand for counting?
No, we did not have Zelappels in Bergen-Belsen. There was not much of a routine in Bergen-Belsen. Not much at all. No Zelappel, and we didn't go to work, so we were just laying around, motionless. As I say, the strength wasn't there, so just like deteriorating.
Did you see a lot of deaths there?
Yeah, oh yeah. A lot of people died. A lot of girls died there. Lack of food, and after so many years.
What was your food like there? What did you eat?
Black coffee seemed to be the style of Germany, of the camps, with a small piece of bread and the soup. There was nothing else in all the years. The soup was horrible. It was very bad. So,
did your sister come there?
no, my sister did not. She was taken to a different camp. I left Birkenau October 31st, 1944, and she arrived November 1st.
You missed each other.
So we missed each other just by a day, just by a few hours. But we had a very happy reunion with my sister. It was beautiful. First, the liberation.
Did you know that the war was coming to an end by this time?
We heard shooting.
Were you frightened by that shooting?
No, we were glad. Somehow it was a good feeling because, we figured either we're going to be liberated or we're going to die. So, either way, it was good. Whatever is going to happen.
The death didn't frighten you?
No, I didn't. But we were liberated.
Can you describe that? Did you know some hours before that liberation was coming?
Not really. I personally didn't know what it means, the white flags over the buildings.
Who had
the
white
SS
flags?
put out the white flags over buildings, and the SS were going around with white bands on their arms. I personally didn't know what it meant. We had brome in our food. Brome is some kind of medication that makes a person forget, and I couldn't think. I didn't know. I had no idea.
Was that to calm you?
Yeah. And I had it for a few years, so I had no idea what the white flags meant in the white bands. And the SS were telling us that we shouldn't think that we're liberated. We're still Häftlinge, we're still prisoners. That was going on all day. By 5 o'clock in the afternoon, on April the 15th, over the microphone, over the loudspeakers, the most beautiful voices. And whenever I think of my liberation, I always hear it. I always have it in my mind. Wir sind schon da, wir sind euch befreien gekommen. Which is, we're here, we came to liberate you. And
Did you know what that meant for you?
I didn't know what being liberated even meant. But I found out soon enough. But history has it that Bergen-Belsen was liberated by the British. The only thing I know is Americans. I know it's Americania.
There were some companies of American soldiers that accompanied the British.
See, that's all I know. And it was the most beautiful sight when the Americans came into camp.
Could you describe that?
Oh, the soldiers. They were beautiful. They were friendly. They were nice. Not all of us spoke English, and not too many of them spoke our languages. But we got along. We understood each other. It was beautiful. It was great. By 7 o'clock, the camp was full with food, with the best.
They brought it in trucks?
They brought in trucks. To us, it was, canned food, but it was the best, the most beautiful thing that they did. It was great. It was just beautiful.
How did they
I'll never
talk to you,
forget it.
or did they come to you in the barracks? Where did you meet?
Sure. We met them on the camp. Oh, we didn't stay in the barracks anymore. By then we saw that they captured the SS, and the main person was the Lagerführer. And
The camp director?
The camp director. I traveled on a jeep the next day with the Americans and with the Lagerführer as a prisoner. And I was the free person, showing where the dead people were and showing the crematoriums.
Was there ever any sense of revenge that you or the other prisoners had?
Yeah, we had a sense, especially for this camp director and Dr. Klein. He was very famous in Bergen-Belsen. And for the blonde SS lady that we wanted in the worst way to cut her hair. That was our first thing that we could think of. The same way as they did for us, we wanted to do for her. She was a beautiful SS lady. The Americans wouldn't allow us. They wouldn't allow us. But we stood there when Dr. Klein had to put all the dead bodies on the trucks. A lot of girls died after we were liberated because they got very sick from starting to eat. They got sick and died. So we had a lot of deaths after we were liberated in Bergen-Belsen.
So the soldiers wanted to show their friendship by giving you all that food. Were you warned by any, perhaps, liberating doctors to be careful of what you ate?
Not right away. But I was very careful. I was fine. I was fine. I didn't eat much. Again, I was coming around with the kashrut, and so I didn't eat much, and I was fine. It was great. We used to go with the soldiers to the German houses after we were liberated, and we called it organisieren, which is plain stealing, really. The only thing we showed is our numbers on our arms, and the German family stood back, and we took whatever we wanted.
In the neighboring houses?
In the neighboring houses, sure. From Bergen-Belsen, we went to Bergen, and in Bergen, there was an American chaplain that traveled from one camp to the other to bring, his idea of traveling from one camp to the other was to bring families together. So he came from my sister's camp with all the names from her camp to my camp, and he called for a meeting in the school auditorium. So we, of course, all got together, and he starts to read the names from my sister's camp, and he reads my sister's name. So, of course, I went up to him, and I said, "This is my sister." So this chaplain took me to my sister's camp.
What was the reunion like?
Well, we looked at each other. You know, we were little girls, and it's 3.5 years later. You know, we have to recognize each other again. The crying is always there. But it was beautiful. And I'm one of very few kids that came home that survived and has a sister and a brother, because most of the kids, you know, came back and found nobody. Like my husband was the only survivor, is the only survivor from the whole family. So I was very lucky. So this chaplain brought us from my sister's camp, both of us together, back to my camp. In Bergen, we had an option. The Americans gave us an option. We could go home, where we come from, or go to Sweden. So my sister and I decided that we'll go home, you know, from 7 children and parents, so we were hoping maybe somebody else would survive. So we decided to go back home. To go back to Czechoslovakia again, we traveled by trucks to Prague, and from Prague by train to Bratislava. Bratislava is the capital city of Slovakia.
How did you get those train rides? Where did you have money?
No money. We didn't need no money at all. Our numbers on the arms. And when we were liberated, the Americans gave us a
identity card?
Yeah.
Little identity cards?
Yeah. That's all we traveled with. And the few things that we had, a couple dresses or whatever, that's all. And the numbers on our arms. No money at all. So we come to Bratislava, and me being that I didn't understand if you want something that you need money, and my sister lived in Bratislava during the years when she lived on false Gentile papers, so I said, okay, you know the city, so I'll stay at the station, and you go to the city and organisieren. didn't realize that you need money. So my sister goes to the city, and I stay at the station, and she comes back, and she said that she met Sam Wall, and Sam Wall was a partisan with my brother, and he's almost sure that my brother survived. From the station, the JDC, the Joint Distribution Committee, took us over.
This was the Jewish Relief Organization.
Yes. And they put us up in a hotel. Not a Hilton hotel, but good enough for them. And we stayed in that hotel for not that long, because I had an idea if my brother did survive, so I thought, well, he's going to try to go home, where we come from, to see if anybody came home. So I wrote a postcard to that city that I was almost sure if my brother is going home, he'll be stopping in that city, and he'll find out. Sure enough, I wrote a postcard. My brother came to Bardejov, and he found my postcard, and he found out that the two of us are in Bratislava. So he sent us a telegram. I still have that telegram. And a couple days later, our brother came to Bratislava.
What was the reunion like? Do you recall where you saw each other?
Oh, yeah. The three of us cried. It was beautiful. Our brother took over, like he's the father, he's the mother, he's the brother, he's everything. So we became the two little girls, the two little sisters. He was in the Czechoslovak army. He came as a partisan from Russia, and he was still in the army. So he took us to the city where he was stationed, Banská Bystrica, for Erholung, to recuperate. So it was great there. Really, we were there for a whole month, doing nothing. With this, he put us up with a family. Their niece was in Auschwitz with me. So this is where we recuperated.
Good food and rest?
The best. From there, we decided to put ourselves up that we're going to live in Košice. Now, when I was liberated in Bergen-Belsen, April 15, 1945, I made a vow and I promised myself that whenever health, time, money will allow, I want to go back to Auschwitz. The idea of it is only that Hitler didn't succeed to put me into the crematorium and to walk through Auschwitz as a free person.
A lot happened before that vow was fulfilled, Bertha, didn't it? What happened in Košice? Did you meet your husband at that time?
A lot happened is true. I met my husband for the very first time in Prague. While we were waiting for the next train to go to Bratislava, my husband knew my sister during the years in Prešov, and we were on Masaryk station, and here comes my husband walking with a book written already about Auschwitz. And he meets my sister. So of course a happy reunion, and my sister tells him, oh, I have a sister that we met, she survived and we met in the camps after we were liberated. I saw my husband next in Košice. Of course, not knowing that we're going to get married, but he had other girlfriends, but we were close. We were close from that first meeting. And as fate would have it, we got married.
How soon after that were you married?
We were married in 1947.
So you remained in Košice?
We remained in Košice. Yeah. My brother got married first, and then my sister, and then I got married.
Were you all together, the three couples?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But then after I got married, my brother went to Israel. I mean, my sister and my brother, both of them went to Israel. My brother first, and then my sister.
Had you ever contemplated doing that?
Yes, yes. From Czechoslovakia, we were registered to go either Israel or America. But my husband had 4 uncles in Cleveland, his mother's 3 brothers and a sister, and he got his affidavit right after the war, after he was liberated, through the Red Cross. He let the uncles here know that he survived, and one of his cousins from here sent him the affidavit. So he was hoping to come to the States.
These were
But
his only relatives.
His
then.
only relatives. There was nobody left in Košice, in Slovakia. So he registered for the States, but if the number is not going to come up, so we'll go to Israel. Well, then we got married, so the cousin sent an affidavit for me. Then we had our little girl.
She was born in
Alice was
Košice?
born in Košice. And so we got an affidavit for her. And as luck would have it, the very last moment, we got notice from the American embassy from Prague that our number came up. So here we are. We were almost like the last ones to leave before the communists took over Czechoslovakia.
Did you have a difficult time perhaps separating from many of the friends you had made?
Very difficult time, especially from Suri. Again, I come to Suri. She remained in Košice because she came to Israel in 1968 during the invasion. So she remained a few more years in Košice. It was very hard for me to say goodbye to her because I really felt very close to her.
You had gone through so much together.
Yeah, with her, yeah. So, yeah, we arrived to the States August 49. Oh, yeah, August 49. With the family waiting for us, with the family waiting for this only nephew that survived from the whole family in Czechoslovakia.
Out of all their relatives?
Of all the relatives, Mike is the only one with a very close tie in the family. They were beautiful. They were great.
How did you establish yourselves here?
Pretty good. Mike found his first job on a Saturday in Temple, working as a butcher for Mr. Schreiber, believe it or not. He didn't work too long there. The butcher shop wasn't good for him because of the coolers and arthritis and all this that Mike had then. Thank God he hasn't got it now. And then he opened up the business with Uncle Eugene. And
What kind of business is it?
Furniture business. And America has been beautiful to us. We're very happy people here.
And you remained close with all those relatives?
With all the relatives. Sorry to say, we don't have the uncles anymore. Uncle Bill, our last uncle, died just a couple months ago. But we have the aunts. And of course, we're grateful for whatever we had them.
And you kept in close touch with Fanny and your brother
Oh, yeah.
in Israel?
Oh, yeah. My sister Fanny was in Israel, and then we brought her out to the States. And she's been here for quite a few, for 20-some years. And of course, I said this in the beginning, we're going back now for the reunion. I saw my brother for the first time in 1970. It was after quite a few years of separation. But I kept on telling my husband that the only way I want to go is I want to go with all my 3 children. And in 1970, we made that trip.
Has he been to America?
He's been to America twice. And he's still very beautiful, very good to us. He's the best.
Bertha, did you think about fulfilling your vow of going back to Auschwitz during those years of settlement and establishing yourself here?
I did. This never left my mind. I was always hoping that I'll have a chance somehow to go back. Well,
did you ever talk about your experiences To your family?
No.
You didn't?
Like most survivors, no, we did not. Mike and I didn't talk to the children about our past. It's not to hurt the children, not to bring back even on ourselves. It's very hard. It's draining. So we never told the children about
Did you
our
find that you kept a lot of your experiences within yourself?
past. Most of it.
Did you and Mike ever talk about what happened?
The two of us would talk about it, but not for the children.
Did you ever share this with people outside your family?
No, not that much. We didn't talk about our past. But most of the survivors didn't.
Why do you think that is so?
Not to hurt the children, and even for us, it's very hard to talk about it. Although by now I see that I was very wrong about it, because it's so much easier for me to talk about it, to bring it out in the open, and so I cry, so it's good.
Do you feel a sense of relief?
Even the crying is very, because I could cry in the open, and not to be embarrassed about it. Of course I cry a lot at night.
Do you still have effects?
I still do. We have, oh sure, and Mike too. But I don't feel embarrassed, even now.
I know that some years ago you began talking to students in the schools. You shared your story with my classes. Do you want to tell how that was in the beginning?
Well, for the very first time, when you approached me, I'm sure you'll recall that I didn't want to have anything to do with it because, first of all, I didn't want to talk about my past. Second of all, I'm not a speaker, and of course the English and the accent, I was afraid the students will make fun, the students won't understand my English, and of course I didn't want to do it. So, but you persuaded me, and for what I'll be forever grateful for that. When for the first time, when I talked in front of you students at Greenland Heights High School. Not a professional speaker, but the students understood me. The thank you notes that I got from them showed that they understood, and they were all with me.
Do you recall how they responded in the
classroom? They responded in the classroom, beautiful, with a lot of feelings, with a lot of understanding, with even crying, with tears in their eyes, which is surprising from young American children to understand my feelings, my losses that I talked about, my parents. It was good, it was very good. And that was the beginning of my talking about the Holocaust. And that was also the beginning of my dream come true, to go back to Auschwitz.
Do you want to talk about how that came about and tell us something about the journey?
This came about when one day you called and you said that you have an idea that you would like to go back with students and with me as a survivor. As I recall, you didn't have Auschwitz on the itinerary because you said you were afraid. And I told you that the only way I want to go back is if Auschwitz is included. So we changed itineraries, and that dream came true on December 17th, 1975, when the first journey of conscience left Cleveland, Ohio, for, where was our first stop?
Prague,
Czechoslovakia. Now Prague is going back where I come from, and from Prague we went to Auschwitz. Auschwitz in 1975 was still almost as the way when I was there. The barracks, the beds, the bunk beds. The students, I could never forget how beautiful they were towards me. Their eyes were focused at me only, my reactions, watching over me. But when we got to that sign, Arbeit macht frei, the entrance of Auschwitz, they all wanted to walk with me, but I asked to be left alone. And I walked through Auschwitz all by myself as a very free person, as an American person with American citizen papers and an American passport, and thinking about all the friends and relatives that I lost in Auschwitz. I'll be forever grateful for this opportunity. From there we went to Warsaw Ghetto, an experience that none of the students ever forgot. I'm still very close with most of them. Of course, I have my 16-year-old Episcopalian, Sarah, that I am in touch with, and with the boys. By now, the students are young men, they're doctors and lawyers, and they're all beautiful. In 1979, Dr. Rabinsky had another idea of going back again with students. Then I asked for Majdanek. That's where we lost our parents, my husband and I. And I also had with me my little boy, my own son, Jeffrey. How does it feel to go back with your own child? Not easy. Not easy. Again, you're concerned about your child. I go and I look for my parents, and here's this innocent child suffering with me, looking for his grandparents.
Do you want to tell about what it was like to come to Majdanek?
Majdanek was worse than Auschwitz for me, because in Auschwitz I was the one that suffered. Majdanek, I saw my parents each step of the way. I saw my parents, and it just broke me into pieces. The barracks were locked. They wouldn't let us in to the camp, so I went through the wires, and some of the students followed me. Of course, the cameras, and Jeffrey, my son, came with me. The barracks were all locked, and we had to look only through the keyholes. We saw nothing but beds and blankets stacked up, and no floors. I think they were worse even than in Birkenau. Walking up the hill in Majdanek with the 10 crematoriums.
You saw the building that housed the crematoriums and the smoke chimney?
The smoke chimney, and they had one room where they had preserved bones, and the Leichenkommando was there. And whatever you see, I always think, oh, could be a bone of my parents. Majdanek was terrible. When we came out, Jeffrey said, no, I said the Kaddish there, the mourner's prayer. And when we came out from the crematoriums there, everybody was just broken up. And to Majdanek, I would not go again.
What was Jeffrey's reaction? What did he say to you about this?
Jeffrey was glad that I took him along. He was glad that he was able to say Kaddish, although he's not allowed to say Kaddish, the mourner's prayer, but we changed the rules. And
because he has living parents.
Because he has, yeah. But we changed the rule, and he did say, as a matter of fact, Jeffrey said Kaddish 6 times for the 6 million. Jeffrey was glad of having the opportunity to see what his family went through. And he's very good with the Holocaust now. Jeffrey speaks, Jeffrey shows pictures, Jeffrey has slides. He's very close to the Holocaust. And I'm glad. That's why I say I'm glad that you made me speak for the first time, because at least now I know whenever my husband and I, not going to be here anymore, I know that my children will carry on and will always remember the Holocaust.
Bertha, when you went back to Birkenau with Jeffrey, do you recall your feelings of coming to Block 27, which was your home for almost 2.5 years? You didn't see that in the cold winter of 75.
No, it was very cold.
But in 79 you found the place where you had been a prisoner. What were your feelings then?
In 79 we found, because it was summer, of course it wasn't the same Birkenau, because we never saw grass in Birkenau during my stay.
Why was that?
Well, the Germans wouldn't let us have it because it would look too good. And when we were there in 79, there was grass everywhere. When we did find my block and the 27 and the bunk where I slept, I figured, here, my little boy has to see where I suffered. It's probably silly, but I felt sorry that Jeffrey has to suffer so much with me.
Did he ever share his feelings about that with you?
Yeah,
Do you recall anything that he said?
Jeffrey and I talk about it a lot. And of course now we could talk with our daughter, with Alice, about it, because she was there too.
Do you want to tell about the next journey?
Our next journey came about in 1983, when we decided to go with second generation. In the second generation, Alice came along.
What was Alice's reaction to traveling with you? Because you went into Germany for the first time, too.
For the first time we went into Germany, well, I personally don't feel comfortable going to Germany. I can't take the language. At the airport, everybody looks like an SS to me. And I have a fear, so I don't feel comfortable. Alice also was glad for the opportunity to see where her family suffered, where her grandparents died. Her reaction is sad, talks about it, we cry about it.
How did you feel about coming to Bergen-Belsen, where you were liberated? Did you recognize it?
No. I mean, yeah, some woods was still there, but it's not the same. Bergen-Belsen is not the same at all, not at all. It's too beautified.
What do you feel about Dachau and Bergen-Belsen that have been reconstructed?
Or even Mauthausen, it's not the same.
Do you want to describe that?
It's too beautiful.
Do you think it carries a message or an impact the way it is?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Even Auschwitz now is not the same, and it's not, I don't think so. It leaves, if one comes, somebody like me, it's not like tourists. Tourists come, oh, I was in Auschwitz, okay? They don't know anything any better. But if I come, when I came to Auschwitz in '83, it's not the same.
What was different?
Well, they have a restaurant there. People walk up and down. You buy all kinds of souvenirs. Now, this isn't Auschwitz. So I personally would not go to Auschwitz anymore, except if I go one more time with our older son, Danny. He hasn't been there yet, and he wants to go, and I would want him to go.
Which camps remain as you recall them?
Birkenau.
Does Majdanek?
In Majdanek, Majdanek, see, I don't know what Majdanek was before, but the way it looked in '79, it sure looked like it was during the Holocaust years. But Bergen-Belsen is nothing but I had. Dachau, it's all too beautiful. It's all too beautiful. They put up a monument, and it doesn't really signify, it doesn't really show what Dachau was really like. Getting back to Danny, I am hoping to take him with Mike, my husband, He wants to see Auschwitz.
And one more journey of conscience.
And one more journey of conscience, hopefully.
How did you feel about leaving the despair and the destruction of what you had experienced in Europe during the journeys and the memories of the Holocaust there, and going to the next leg of your journey?
Great.
Do you want to share where you went and to tell about
like
the feelings?
for instance, we come to Prague. I love to come to Prague, sure. To go to the Altneue Schule, to the synagogue on Sabbath, to have my son, to have the privilege to have my son to say the prayers, and the rest of the boys at the Altneue Schule.
The 700-year-old synagogue.
Yeah, it's a great privilege. I loved it. I was so proud. I was so proud of my son and the rest of the boys. But at the same time, it was great to leave it. Of course, we have our ex-aunt there. I shouldn't say aunt because ex, because I'm in touch with her. She comes to that temple every day.
She's an aunt by marriage, right?
And by marriage, yeah. And she is the ruler, the leader. She watches the kashrut in that kosher kitchen that they have in Prague. It was great seeing her. It was great being with her.
How did you feel about leaving Europe and going on to Israel with the students and your children?
It was a beautiful, beautiful sight, beautiful feeling. Because, okay, I wanted to go. I made it. I was in Prague, and I saw everything, and with my children. And then coming to Israel, at the airport, my brother, my sister-in-law, my nephew, my niece. In '79, when we came to Israel, it wasn't only my brother, it was also my son, Danny, and my daughter-in-law, my own husband, all waiting, and your son, if you recall, all waiting for us at the airport with flowers. The most beautiful feeling. And for all the things.
What did Israel mean to you after seeing the destruction of your family in Europe?
Israel meant life. Life again. Seeing my brother raising two beautiful children there, with a beautiful home, with a Sabbath again. He went back to his religion. Life, really, in one word. It was beautiful. It was great. The Friday night walks with my brother, just me and my brother, the two of us, Natanya, can't beat that. Can't beat that. I'm just very grateful.
Bertha, it is 40 years now, and you're going to be reunited again with your brother, your sister, your husband, and the members of your family. What is the message that you'd like to give about the Holocaust, the impact it had upon your life, the lives of your children, and now your wonderful grandchildren who are growing up? What would you like them to know about this?
Because I want my children to tell my grandchildren. My grandchildren know a little bit now. They know what Oma and Opa went through, a little bit. But I want my children forever to continue to carry on the message about the Holocaust. First of all, I'm grateful that they know about it, that we finally opened up and told them. Also, for having the opportunity to take my children back to the camps, to see my bunk where I put my head down. I want them to carry on forever. I want them to teach my grandchildren all about the Holocaust. It should not happen again. And I'm hoping that my children will carry that. And I'm sure they will.
And your message about life then is?
Message about life: be grateful, be thankful, live it the right way. Carry on the tradition of your parents the way I tried under difficult circumstances. Carry on my tradition from my parents.
Bertha, we're grateful that you share this with us. This is Leitris Rubinski. Our Holocaust survivor has been Bertha Lautman. The project is sponsored by the National Council of Jewish Women, Cleveland section. Thank you, Bertha.
Welcome.